don't know who we're coming across. Oh, hello, hello. Anybody's here? Somebody's here. Yeah, somebody's here. Someone was walking up
Hello and welcome to the first members only video. This video is going to be a two-parter. So there's going to be a part 1 and a part 2. And we are reacting to MindSeed TV, insane paranormal footage, extremely creepy, lost episode. The reason why I want to do this in 2 different videos is because they go to 2 different places. And I thought, why not just split it up so I can take my time on my reaction. So let's get into it. The first location that we will be covering in this video will be some house in Utah. They say it's haunted, allegedly. Well, I'll tell you if it's haunted or not. First impressions. These guys have a history of faking their evidence, so you gotta keep that in mind when you watch their content. Spirit says there's things in this video to debunk. Also, the word pareidolia came to mind immediately as they're walking up to the house. They are in a dark, wooded area with the intention of catching creepy and paranormal activity, so their brains are on high alert, which, if you don't know what pareidolia is, essentially, your brain kind of puts things together to make it form something that may not be there. In their case, it's probably things out of the corner of their eyes that they think they're seeing. Especially, there's that kind of danger element there, too, because it's an abandoned house. It's old, it's dilapidated, and technically, they have to worry about squatters or homeless people or whomever that may go to those locations and do whatever they want to do. And so it can be a bit dangerous. So that's why they would be more so on high alert. Or, people have that association with abandoned and emptied old houses, and they think just because it being in that type of condition that it means it's absolutely haunted, which that's not always the case. With that being said, if enough psychic energy is used, they can accidentally create their own thought forms and or poltergeist activity. And of course, their intentions plus their vibration plus ghost hunting equipment can manifest portals and attract spirits and or entities from around the area. There's light residual energy in this location from past property owners, but that's normal. Anywhere you have people, there's residual energy, and that also can be said with animals and things like that.
There's a giant rusty fridge over here on the floor, turned over on its side.
So 5 minutes in, I start getting psychic impressions of an old married couple around 1947, 1958, and lived in probably until, I would say, early 90s, late 80s. I'm bad with dates, I'm not gonna lie. But it's giving I don't know. There's just that certain energy to certain time periods, if that makes sense. So I feel like that house has been lived in, but I don't feel like it's had many owners, if that makes sense. The man of the house, and this is again a psychic impression, I feel like he did a lot of hunting and liked to buy large quantities of meat, such as like beef and pork, especially during winter seasons. I also see him storing some of his kills down in a fridge. Now, whether it's the fridge or the freezer that's in the basement or one somewhere else, I do feel like he did store meat in like a meat fridge or a meat freezer specifically. And yeah, during like the winter seasons. Also getting like animal taxidermy in that house at some point. Not crazy, but like maybe like a deer head or like, I don't know, something like that. I don't know. It's just giving taxidermy vibes. Or maybe like the person was proud of his catches. I feel like there's some kind of like pride, and pride regarding to like animals. I do feel like many animals have been killed around the property. I'm also seeing a work area inside a detached garage or shed-like building. It held garden tools and a little table for projects, maybe where he prepared his catches and traps as well. Alright, 608 here. The light they caught that looked like eyes was not paranormal. I wasn't getting any paranormal hits. I honestly wasn't really getting paranormal hits in the house. I mean, the residual energy, sure, but I wasn't seeing any earthies at all. And Spirit was saying that the lights that they're saying are eyes, Spirit is saying it's man-made. But they weren't specific on the type of man-made, so whether it was like a reflection from a light that they had, or they inserted it in the video, or something along those lines, but it's giving man-made. Also, like I said, I wasn't seeing any paranormal things outside of residual energy. So to me, it wasn't a spirit or entity or a living person or animal. And they're like, oh, it's got to be something 8 to 10 feet tall. This is where my brain started kicking in and started doing some thinking. So this isn't necessarily a psychic impression, maybe more like common sense, if you want to call it that. But they're saying it's 8 to 10 feet tall. However, that can't be necessarily true because the majority of ceilings in homes are 7 feet tall. So how could it be 8 to 10 feet tall when you have 7-foot ceilings? And in basements especially, Now, if the house was newer, then maybe, because things are more, I don't know, open concepts, bigger in general, but this is an old house. And even if it was hand built by like the property owners, there ain't no 8 to 10 foot tall ceilings. This is where I get into the meditative channel. So essentially I channel through meditation. That's how I get many of my psychic hits, or it's just like impressions from viewing the video. So there is a tulpa thought form roaming the land and was created by natives, but it's not at the house. So I was seeing the tulpa, but not anywhere near the house. The entity looks tall, lanky, humanoid, bald, has sharp teeth and claws. It walks slightly hunched. You know what it kind of reminds me of? If you ever watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, I don't know if it's at the beginning of the show or at the end, where it has like the, what do you call it? The screen titles, or I don't freaking know. But you see that monster that goes by and it's like, grr, arg. It's like a paper looking cartoon version of a vampire. That's kind of what it looks like. This thing is around the land and doesn't really go near that specific house because it sits empty. There's no reason for it to be there. It's not feeding off of anything there. And the residual energy in that space is pretty light. It's not like thick and heavy. It's actually pretty light. So even if there was a lot of, you could say that if there was a lot of like thick residual energy, it could potentially feed on that. But I didn't even see that with the residual energy because like I said earlier, the residual energy there is lighter. So there's really nothing for it to feed off of. And a lot of times when you have thought forms created by natives, they usually have a job that they were put out to do. So when they were summoned or created, usually it's to defend their own people or protect nature. Like there's a reason. There's no reason for it to go to an empty house, if that makes sense. So if it was like there to protect the land, there's nothing to protect the land from if nobody's there. That's just an example. Then I was seeing a statue-like face on like darker stone. It looks like a Moai statue from Easter Island. And I'll show you. Like you can even Google Moai statues, Easter Island, and you'll see like they're big statues, but I'm seeing particularly the head part. And so I was like, okay, what does that mean? I Googled like the meaning, and the first hit I got, the Moai statues are said to help produce agriculture or agricultural fertility. So maybe this property grew its own food, maybe had some livestock as well. That would also explain the meat freezer, even though I know the thing in the basement is technically a fridge, but I was thinking meat freezer. And if someone has livestock, especially if they're doing it for food consumption, where are they going to put the meat? They got to put it somewhere. So it kind of validates, but not really. I don't know. You guys can make your own decision there. I was seeing a bird with a blue jay shaped head. It wasn't blue. I was seeing this more in like hues of black and gray. So I don't know like if it was a blue jay. I could just tell you the shape of the head was very blue jay like, with the little ding, like the little nyeh coming off its head. I was seeing a shotgun resting up against a wall, more off-white, yellow tinged walls. I was seeing wild rabbits grazing on the grass. Now, obviously they're in the middle of the woods and you're going to have wild animals. So one could argue, oh, well, duh. Well, that's what I was seeing psychically. It could also mean that they raised rabbits. I don't know. All I can tell you is I saw rabbits grazing on grass. I did see old people with, I would say, in their 80s or 90s. Again, bad with age. Living there, and then more emphasis on an older woman that used to live there. She's in the light, not earthbound, so it's not like she's haunting the place. So either the couple that I had mentioned before, either she is the woman in that family or it's a different one. It's hard to tell because these impressions were going really fast and I wasn't getting too much detail. I was seeing a pit viper type snake. Again, wild animals in the middle of the woods and nowhere. One could again say, duh. But for whatever reason, it's giving, or it was giving, pit viper animal spirit, but like a good one. And FYI, not every single snake entity or spirit is evil. You can have good snake spirits. But there is a pit viper animal spirit around that area, and it helps maintain balance on that land. So I feel like the tulpa I was seeing might have that same reason or intention as to why it was created. Again, not many earthies in the area. A lot of the earthies in that area are more towards the cities. I'm not seeing any in that house. And the property is actually pretty calm, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
The strange thing is about the fridge with the mystery substance in it, for whatever reason, I'm getting the vibe that it's what's inside isn't what they're portraying it to be. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like there's something off about that in terms of what they're saying it is. It doesn't feel like what they're saying it is. It just doesn't. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But they doctored the whatchamacallits, the footage, which they've been known to do. It's hard to prove because they also blurred it. So one could say, and I'm not saying this is for fact, one could literally put in reddish, bloodish looking stuff and then blur it and you wouldn't know what it is because it's blurred. I mean, if they were worried about blood being seen on YouTube, then wouldn't they blur the what looks like blood on the outside too? That's just me. But I don't think it's what they're saying it is. Do I think there's stuff in the fridge from past usage? Absolutely. But do I think it is what they're saying it is? No. But I know the spirit box said satanic. I wasn't getting that vibe at all. Whatsoever. And I don't feel that the couple that I saw living in that house died there. It feels like they died somewhere else, or they were taken care of towards the end of their lives somewhere else. But I don't think they died in that house. Again, that's what I'm picking up. You guys, it's up to you. You can take what resonates and leave the rest. Again, up to you. But that's all I really have for that location. I feel like they, and when I say they, I mean MindSeed, kind of dramatized that location more than it really needed to be. Welp, that's all she wrote. That's all the information I really have for that location. I wasn't getting too much. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, please leave them down below. And I would like to thank you again for joining my membership. And always, I love your honest opinions, your honest comments, and it helps me grow. So any feedback is welcomed. But I will see you in part 2. Peace.